Hey, look.
You want daddy?
Karen, let me see this.
Go on, son.
I'm telling you, dining table. Or table. Where's Johnny? I want to hire on the top.
I
don't know what he wants to do, but he's looking to get into something.
Well, this is what I'm saying,
But
that
he's too young.
to go in for himself.
Like it.
He-
I'll do me some with a gram.
Yeah, look here. He's ready to take our picture.
Yeah, and they do, believe me, especially Rick. All I need is Gene.
You got it? I tell you, the only one that needs it is yeah. For the
Because the funniest thing is that this girl kept telling me that she went to pick out a dress with this
Careful
Gentile
what you're
friend.
saying, it's being recorded.
TV over there. What's yours? Sorry. Daddy, so I can eat just a bit more. Yes,
Stay behind.
I hear somebody. Oh, hi. Today's at 8 hours. The sun on it? Yep. Did you get out?
Jonathan, pay attention.
Hi, John.
Okay.
Thank you, good.
Mommy, oh, nice boy.
Nice. Say, Aberdeen gentleman offer Stuart says.
He's going to say something funny.
Okay, look at me and say chop suey.
John City.
Look at me, coochie coochie.
Gucci.
No, that doesn't work, huh? Do I have to be in this picture? Just stay there. Stay there because...
Catherine. What's supposed to do? Cheers. 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 Take the picture. I'm done.
It's good, isn't it?
Come on, stay close. Get right there, guys.
Cheese.
Oh, Larry.
Wine, and then 2 or 3 days before you come back, it's next you think about the others
That must be really nice lighting.
Hi. So how would give you a picture of me and yeah. How much is it? Yeah. Look up there. Look up here. Maybe my brother's coming. Oh, hey, not sure. How do you want me to draw? Yeah, I'm too busy with this. There's so much.
this evening. I'd like to welcome everybody tonight, both the young and the old, and the people who traveled from long distances like Chicago, or the jet setters from as far off places as London, England, and as well the people who came from close by, like the same house. Okay, before going any further, I'd like to, while welcoming you at the same time, I'd like to reflect upon Rabbi's sermon of this morning, in which he talked about the counting of days. Well, he talked about the counting of days in the Jewish tradition, and in a somewhat Jewish tradition, I'm glad you could all be here tonight to help me count the days until my parents leave for Israel. They leave Monday afternoon with Kara. No, actually this is a special occasion, more so than just my parents going away. It's special enough that I wore an original outfit. Okay. Yeah. While you're judging me, just remember I'm doing this willingly. I don't get allowance anymore. So I'm not doing this under duress of any kind. I'm doing this willingly. No, actually we're here to celebrate Karen and her Bat Mitzvah. We're here to reflect upon her life so far and see how she's grown. Remember how she's grown and anticipate her future as a young lady. Karen is, well, we know her at home as primarily a loud and rather, well, not obnoxious, no, not obnoxious. Just, okay, loud is a good word. She loves to sing and project her voice around the house. But today, she showed that off quite well. She was clear, precise, and beautiful all at the same time. Hopefully she got it out of her system. She made me proud today. It's not an easy job getting up there and doing what she did. In fact, for the small part that I had to do today, I was very nervous. And I'm almost twice Karen's age, and I was like nervous, shitting bricks. That's what it is. This is my show. I can say whatever I want. Okay? So I think not only do we owe it to Karen to praise her performance this morning, but we have to acknowledge the finesse with which she did it, and how easily the words flowed out of her mouth and how beautifully she sang. It was very amazing. I'm even willing to admit that she was as good as I was over 9 years ago. Okay, let's see what else. I was 9 years old when Karen was born, and of all her siblings, Kenny, Ricky, and myself, I probably can best remember her growth and best reflect upon her emergence. And I don't know, you can ask anybody, but she is probably the most special member of our family. Really? Do that too. He guards her room at night and won't let us near her, even to kiss her goodnight. She's cherished by all the members of her family, and our dog as well, who's also a member of our family, but also by outsiders. And people fall immediately in love with her. They see her more than just a little girl with a loud mouth. They see her as a sweet young thing that she is. And I don't know, they just want to hide and squeeze her all the time. That's what I do. Anyway, all the stuff that I prepared to say, I've already said. And I don't want to say anymore. I'm not being paid enough. So I'm going to hand the microphone over to my father now. He's the man who sacrificed a day at the ballpark for a day at the synagogue, and who is paying for you all to have a good time tonight. This is my dad.
Thank you very much, Ted. I appreciate that. What a glorious day this has been. My daughter Karen did a great job this morning reading from the Torah, and the Blue Jays won this afternoon. 4-2.
Should have been there, Mike.
My only regret is that I didn't get to the ball game. I'll tell you, I could have got there by the second inning, except that my wife wouldn't let me go. She says, you gotta be here at 4:30 because we're taking photographs and you can't be late. As it turns out, the ball game ended at 4:30. The photograph started at 5 o'clock. I sure could have been in that game, and I regret not being there. Anyway, this is the fourth Simcha in the Florence family. 9 long years ago, our son Ted here had his bar mitzvah. 7 years ago, our son Ken over there had his bar mitzvah. And 4 years ago, it was Rick's turn.
Hey, you got all the names right.
And now today is the Florence family's first bat mitzvah. Our daughter Karen's coming of age. I'll tell you honestly, I really look forward to this affair. It's really great standing here in front of friends and relatives to celebrate our daughter's bat mitzvah. Frankly, the only thing that I haven't been looking forward to is this speech. For those that know me, I'm somewhat shy and retiring, and I don't really enjoy standing here making a speech. However, I told Sandy this, and you know what she told me? She said, look, you haven't done a damn thing. She said, I've arranged the Primrose Club. I sent out the invitations. I arranged the menu. I've arranged the kiddush. I've done everything. You haven't done a darn thing. The least you can do is give a speech. I thought to myself, you know, she's not quite correct. I have done something. I'm paying for all this. But anyway, I didn't want to argue with her, and I kept my sort of tongue-in-cheek. I didn't say anything. I said, Sandy, I will give a speech. But I want to tell you, I'm not a polished speaker, and I am a little nervous, even though I'm amongst friends.
You're a polished man.
Thank you, Al. But in order to make me feel more comfortable, I'd appreciate if you'd sort of laugh in the right places and perhaps cry in the right places too. Some of my speech is a written speech. I wrote it out because I didn't want to screw it up, to be frank. I didn't want to flub the lines. So I hope you'll bear with me because I'm going to read part of my speech. Sandy, I'm I'm in trouble already. This isn't my speech, it's somebody's balance sheet. Honest. For those who know me, you know I can be absent-minded from time to time. I can figure out what must have happened. I think I left my speech on my desk and brought the balance sheet. Anyway, I think I'm going to have to speak off the cuff. Anyway, I'm amongst friends, and I'd like... Anyway, I'm amongst friends, and I'd like to tell you how it all began for Karen. It's the story of $100,000, a $450 buck, and a little sex thrown in. First, $100,000. Oh, it was about 15 years ago. I said to my dear wife, Sandy, I really appreciate the 3 sons you've given me, but frankly, it isn't enough. I really want a daughter. And she said, Mike, you want a daughter, do you? Well, if you want a daughter, it's really going to cost you. Not only is it going to cost you, but it's going to cost you a lot. I said, what do you mean? She says, there's no way I'm going to live in this small 4-bedroom house and bring up a daughter. She said, if you want a daughter, you're going to have to buy a big house in Forest Hill Village, and that's it. So what did I do? I really wanted this daughter, you know. So I went out and I bought a big house in Forest Hill Village for $100,000.
Cheap house.
It wasn't a cheap house at that time, let me tell you. Anyway, and as you all know, I'm an accountant, so I wrote in my ledger, receivable from daughter, not yet conceived, $100,000. So that was $100,000. Now we had a house to put a daughter in, except that we didn't have a daughter to put in the house. So the next problem was how to get a daughter. By the way, I've never told Karen this story, so she's hearing it for the first time. Anyway, we really wanted a daughter, and we certainly didn't need a 4th son. Like, no way. So what we did, we traveled throughout the world seeing doctors from Scarborough to Tibet about how to get a daughter. At every place, the answer was the same. There's only a 50% chance that there'll be a daughter. Now, I'm not a gambling man, and 50% wasn't good enough for me. So there's no way I wanted to take a chance, because Lord knows, 3 sons, I didn't want another one. So, anyway, what happened is this, and this is the truth. I was reading a magazine one day, I think it was Playboy as a matter of fact, and the pictures were really great. Anyway, there was this advertisement in the magazine. There was an advertisement for a book entitled, How to Conceive Daughters. Only $4, only $4.50. And what intrigued me was there was a money-back guarantee. Now, as you're aware from a little bit before, I'd already spent $100,000. And like, how much more should I spend? Anyway, I figured the worst it cost me was $100,000. and $4.50. Oh, so anyway, I figured, well, gee whiz, I tried everything else. It was worth a chance. So anyway, I ordered this book of How to Conceive Daughters. Oh, I forgot to tell you, it was an extra 35 cents for postage. Anyway, it was $4.50 or $4.85. It's really not that material. So I ordered the book.
U.S. funds.
I don't remember, Morty. I honestly don't remember whether it was U.S. or Canadian.
To check your ledger.
But anyway, I ordered this book, and about, I think it was about 12 days later, the book came in. And you remember it was a money-back guarantee. The first thing that I noticed was the money-back guarantee was only for 30 days. Now, how the heck do I know that I'm going to be satisfied in 30 days? It takes at least 270 days to know that I've been satisfied or not. Anyway, I had this book. We tried everything else. It was a crazy book, really. You wouldn't believe it. You really wouldn't believe it. I'll give you an example. It was very technical in nature, but let me just try to pick something up. For example, it was between July 17th and July 20th, and it was 73 degrees outside, and there was a full moon. The best time to conceive a daughter was 4:17 in the morning. I'm serious, I'm not joking. Anyway, Sandy and I were very skeptical of this book, but we were determined to follow instructions. After all, what could we lose? The worst that could happen is we get another son. Mind you, that was pretty bad. Anyway, we really wanted to adhere to this book religiously. But can you imagine having to set an alarm clock for 4:17 in the morning? Anyway, joking aside, I think I can actually remember the day Karen was conceived. We followed this book religiously, and I was working in the office, and I was at a meeting with a very important client. We were discussing a very complex corporate reorganization when the phone rang. It was Sandy. The phone call went something like this. Mike, I think the date, by the way, was August the 3rd, something like that. She says, Mike, it's the first week in August, and the wind's blowing north by northwest at 10 miles an hour, and it's 83 degrees Fahrenheit, and the book says the best time to conceive a daughter is 3:37 in the afternoon. I said, Sandy, I'm in a big meeting here. She says, you want a daughter, don't you? I says, I want a daughter. She says, well, you be home. Anyway, I made a flimsy excuse to my client. There's no way I would tell him the truth. He'd think I was nuts. Anyway, I left the office around 3:25, and I went down to the garage to drive home. When I discovered I didn't have my car. As you know, I'm somewhat absent-minded, and I forgot that I got left to work that day, and I didn't have my car. Anyway, I scurried around for a taxi, and I got home at 3:36. Now, the end of the story is this. 9 months and 13 years later, we're here celebrating our daughter Karen's Bat Mitzvah. So I could recommend the book, No Holds Barred. You know, I have a tendency to spoil my daughter. I pretty well give her anything that she wants, and when she asks for something, my heart sort of melts. I find it very difficult to refuse her. She's so sweet and lovable. However, occasionally, I can be tough. Real tough. I remember... It's pretty tough. I remember an incident about 2 years ago. She came to me and said, Daddy, can I have $10 to buy something at the village cigar store? And I said, Karen, you've already had your allowance. No way, Jose. No way am I going to give you $10 to buy something. And I actually refused her. And she went away. And you know, after she went away, I felt pretty bad. Here she was, my only daughter, and I turned her down. And I felt really miserable about it. For only $10. And, about a half an hour later, I guess she'd recovered, and she came to me and she said, Daddy, I know you're not going to give me the $10, but Daddy, I really want a swimming pool in the backyard. Daddy, can I have one? Can I have one? And I'll even contribute towards it. Daddy, please give me a swimming pool. Listen, I'd already refused her $10. How can I refuse her a swimming pool on the same day? 2 refusals in the same day. I just couldn't do it. Anyway, long story is that I built her a swimming pool, and now she owes me $200,000.
You'll get it later. She's going to stay until you're...
I've always been a male chauvinist. I always believed that a woman's place was in the kitchen, or at least in the laundry room. My grandmother stayed home all day, prepared meals, washed the dishes, did the sewing, did the laundry, and my great-grandmother did the same, and I always believed that that's the way it should be. My grandmother, my great-grandmother, they never played tennis, not even once. Anyway, I am a male chauvinist. I don't believe in women. I don't believe in women doctors. I don't believe in women lawyers, and I certainly don't believe in women chartered accountants. But today was quite an experience. 40 years of male chauvinist beliefs went out the window. When I watched... No, just 40, Karen. When I watched my daughter reading from the Torah, I realized how bright a young lady she is and how poised she is. And Karen, the world is your oyster. If you work hard and are dedicated, there are no limits to what you can achieve. You can be a brain surgeon, you could be a courtroom lawyer, you could be a corporate executive, you could even be the first female ball player for the Toronto Blue Jays. As a matter of fact, that's something I'd really like, Karen. It's all up to you. Anyway, I don't know if you know this, but we have a tradition in the Florence family. After every bar mitzvah, we've taken our bar mitzvah boy to Israel, just the 3 of us, Sandy, myself, and our bar mitzvah boy. And it's really been quite an experience. And Monday, we're leaving to Israel with our daughter Karen, just the 3 of us. We're going to Israel, and I'm really looking forward to it. I know Teddy is looking forward to it too. Anyway, while we were in Israel, I know Karen will learn all about the Jewish heritage, how the Jews have struggled, and how they've worked to build their homeland into such a flourishing land. And I'm really looking forward, Karen, to taking you with us. Tomorrow is Mother's Day, and I'd like to say a few words to my wife, Sandy. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sandy, for giving me such good sons. They're certainly growing up into young men, and I think they have a great future in front of them. And thank you ever so much for giving me the daughter. I really cherish her, and I can't thank you enough for giving me her. You've taught our children the proper values, and most of all, you've always been there when they needed you. Thank you very much. trying to figure out how to end this speech before it becomes too small seat. I've now figured it out. I'm just going to sit down. Thank you very much.
That was good. I'm really impressed. I didn't think he could remember all those things. Incidentally, copies of those books are available inside. That's like creative. Okay. Whatever it cost, in whatever form, it was certainly worth it to end up with a sister like Karen. She's the best sister anyone could want. And I'd like you to take a look at her right now. Come here. This is my best sister. Karen would like to say a few words of thanks and welcome. And Karen, the microphone's yours.
Hello everyone. Thank you very much for coming today to help celebrate my Bat Mitzvah with me. I can't believe that my turn has actually come. I've watched through the years as my 3 older brothers experience their Bat Mitzvahs. Being the only girl in a family with 3 older brothers is very difficult, as you might have already guessed. I'm always running away from my oldest brother Ted, who's always trying to sneak a snuggle or a kiss. Kenny is always telling me what to do, but of course I don't listen. He thinks he's my boss. Ricky constantly teases me about anything you can think of because he likes to see me mad. Teasing me is probably Ricky's favorite hobby. My mom promises me that as I get older, I'll learn to like my brothers. But that won't happen until they realize that I'm the boss. In spite of all their faults, they do have some good points. I won't mention them right now, though, because I can't think of any at the moment. But honestly, I really do love them. Now, what can I say about my dad, the rabbit? You could probably pick him out of this crowd because of his orange glow. He eats so many carrots that his skin is turned orange. He suffers withdrawal symptoms if my mom doesn't have a bunch of carrots ready and peeled in the fridge. He is really the most wonderful dad in the world. He's got a great sense of humor, and his smile can brighten up anyone's day. Now let me say a few words about my mom. I think my mom was looking forward to this day as much as I was. It gave her an excuse to buy a whole new wardrobe, as if she doesn't have enough clothes already. There weren't enough stores in Canada, so she had to leave the country to buy her dress for tonight. I think my mom leads a pretty good life. You know what she does all day? She sleeps in, gets her hair done, does her nails, and spends money. But her favorite activity is tennis. She even has a part-time job now as a property manager. I don't know what it is, but it sounds impressive, doesn't it? But seriously, I couldn't ask for a better mom. She's my pal, she's my friend, and she's very understanding. And most of all, she's always there when I need her. I feel that I'm a very lucky Jewish girl to be living in Canada and have the freedom of religion. This has given me the opportunity to learn Hebrew and have a Bat Mitzvah. Many other children in other countries, especially Russia, have been denied this privilege. I know that I'm very lucky. I'm especially lucky to be following my family's tradition. It is my turn to go to Israel with my parents. I'll be leaving on Monday and be gone for almost 3 weeks. I'm sure my brothers are very happy. I've been looking forward to this ever since my oldest brother Ted went to Israel after his Bar Mitzvah, followed by Ken and then Ricky. I realize how important the state of Israel is to the Jews wherever they may live in the world. But I can't wait to see and learn as much about Israel as I can on this trip. This is a very special time in my life that I will never forget. I'm so glad you could all be here today to share this with me. I hope you have a great evening. Thank you.
What a perceptive young lady, I think. Especially that part about my mom. Anyway, I'm hungry now. And if that's okay with you, I'm gonna eat, okay? So how about some food, please?
jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, which nobody can deny.
One more time.
This is a different kind of film.
Sit down. All right, stop the camera. Okay, we came on the other side. There, we were here. Maybe. What day is it?
Yeah, right.
Right on. Great party.
Hold it. Take the salad. You gotta take the salad out of your teeth.
Can I have it? We'll get some contributions.
We agree with everything they we should sing a song.
Write our check. Last week for mine.
I mean, yeah, there's going on there, Brian. You're doing 30. You got it out cold.
Yeah, that's right.
There wasn't a soul there everywhere. Nobody got to dinner. He knew, so I said, let's sing you something. Alan said he's ready for bed.
Just that he would normally.
He will wake her up, whatever to go.
Now, what's your story about
What's Susan's
I don't talk to him.
So we looked all through the temple.
Well, he owns, buildings, but I don't know if that's big in a building business. He's been retired for about 20 years. I think he's getting active again. Television now.
I'm just eating. I can't stand the light in my eyes.
If you have a microphone, how do you hear me?